This being a regular meeting with a town hall meeting at the same time. Wilson County Emergency Service District Number 3 will be hosting a town hall meeting on Monday, February 5th, 2018 at 7 p.m. The town hall meeting will take place at the Vernia City Hall Council Chambers, 102 East Chihuahua, Vernia, Texas 78121, to discuss the annexation of the former Vernia EMS area. We're going to have a presentation, and then after that, we'll take questions.
So that you know, there is a quorum here with 3 of our commissioners.
I'm sorry, what's your name, sir?
Carla Salazar.
Yeah.
It'll all come up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and skip the next one. Introductions. This is Carlos Salazar. He's our president of ESD number 3. We have Ray Skaggs, vice president of ESD 3. Eddie Callender, the treasurer for ESD number 3.
Okay.
And then myself, David Rice, I'm the EMS director.
Is anybody from the city here?
From the city of Vernia, we have Mayor Gregory. And then we also have, oh, sorry, sir.
Corner.
Eloy.
Eloy Corner.
Eloy.
Excellent.
And then we have Judge Jackson.
Martin Ford. Good. Timber Day. It's all right. Hopefully.
Well, so with that said,
Okay, go ahead.
how many people, with a show of hands, how many people are here that represent the area that is being proposed for annexation?
Sure.
Okay. And then also with all this said, with a show of hands, how many people currently live in District 3's area? Okay. So we have a mixture of everybody in the room. All right, so with that said, tonight's meeting is a town hall meeting, it's just that, okay? It's not a meeting that's required of us to do, it's just a little extra that District 3 is doing to try and get the pulse of the people, if you may, to see how we're going to proceed with this petition. You know, are we going to take it for a vote for annexation, or are we going to opt to bow out? And when I say we, I'm talking the commissioners of District 3. They want to do their due diligence, okay? Because obviously if we take this to an election, it's going to cost some taxpayer money, okay? And so before we go and spend that taxpayer money, we want to make sure that that this is what the people want, not only in the District 3 coverage area now, but also in the proposed area to be annexed, okay? With that said, I'm going to read this little statement up here. A petition was filed with the district requesting that the Vernia EMS area be annexed by Wilson County Emergency Services District Number 3. The district takes no position on this matter and will be following applicable law to address the petition, hold the statutorily required public hearing, and make a final determination to let the voters decide this issue if the district moves to annex this area. The district does not make the decision to annex any area. It is made by the voters of the district and the voters of the area requesting annexation. Both sets of voters must agree to the annexation before it would become effective. Okay, so do we understand what that means? It means for those, the current District 3 community people have to vote to accept the annexation, and then the people within the area that's proposed to be annexed have to vote to be annexed. Does that make sense?
Right.
And then the people that live in the area that's being annexed will have the option. It's a two-part vote for the proposed area. You're voting to be annexed, but then you're also would be voting to either A, accept the debt or not. And we'll go over that debt here in a little bit. Next. Everybody here familiar with what an ESD is? Emergency Services District. For those, I'll just read it real quick. ESDs are political subdivisions of the state of Texas which may support or provide local emergency services, including emergency medical services, emergency ambulance services, rural fire prevention and control services, and other emergency services authorized by the Texas legislature. In Wilson County, currently right now, there's 3 ESDs. There's ESD 1, which services the Vernia, Sullivan Springs, and Kycast area. It is a fire-only ESD, and its current tax rate is .0843 per $100 valuation. There's ESD 2, which is in the Eagle Creek area. It is a combination ESD, meaning it provides fire and EMS. Its current tax rate is .0974 per $100 valuation, plus a 2% sales tax. And then you have ESD number 3, which services the Stockdale, Sullivan Springs, all the rural area outside of all that, basically to the county lines, Gonzales County, Guadalupe County, and then back up this direction. As far as the district itself, And our tax rate right now is 0.10 or 10 cents on a $100 valuation. I got a couple slides up here that basically is the statute out of the Health and Safety Code, Chapter 775, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and read this line for line, okay, put everybody to sleep. Basically, I just wanted to reference this for those of you that are taking notes and want to look at some reading material later, okay? This here talks about the appointment of a board in the district located wholly in one county, all right? Because this ESD District 3, okay, is situated only in Wilson County, it's appointed by Commissioner's Court, okay? The Commissioner's Court is what appoints those ESD commissioners. But this here outlines what they have to, how they qualify to be a board member, and you know, all the rules and regs and all that. But it's chapter 775.034. I don't know if I already did this, but go ahead. And for those that are wanting to know, I went ahead and put the dates that the current commissioners expire. And to go ahead, the other two commissioners that we don't have here tonight is Secretary Coleman, when she expires January 2019, and we're missing Assistant Treasurer Love, and she expires January 2019. ESD number 3, a little bit about it. It was created November 6, 2016 by a vote, okay, of the citizens within the current ESD. ESD 3 has not annexed any other area. The size that ESD 3 is now is the size that it was whenever it was created, okay? And at that time, or shortly after it was created, it contracted with service providers, Stockdale EMS at that time, or Stockdale Volunteer Ambulance Service, in October of 2013. The board at that time, after in setting its tax rate, after it contracted with Stockdale, set a tax rate of 0.08 per $100 valuation, okay? It didn't go to the normal 10 cents as most ESDs do whenever they first form. And the purpose of doing that is so they can build some type of emergency reserve fund, you know, in the event that an ambulance breaks down or something like that. But District 3 at the time did not do that. And then in Stockdale EMS dissolved and ESD 3 began its own service January 1st, 2015. Meaning ESD 3 provides its own service. Okay, we don't contract with anybody else. We did that for a couple reasons. One being we found that, for one, we're eligible for more funding opportunities. Okay, one being the indigent program through the state, where annually we submit for reimbursement for indigent monies. Okay, if we were a 501c3 entity, we would not be eligible for that. It's only available to government entities such as cities, counties, hospital districts, and ESDs. The other reason why the district did not opt to contract with somebody else is because redundancy. Whenever you contract with another entity, well, the district has its attorney, and then the service provider has its attorney. The district has its own CPA, the service provider has its own CPA. You know, audits. The district has to do its own audit, the provider had to do its own audit. Well, yeah, the provider's paying for all of that, but who do you think ultimately is paying for that? The district's paying for that, they're just putting it in their contract. Okay, so it was just causing a lot of redundancy and more expense, more tax burden on the citizen. And so we eliminated all that. As I said earlier, District 3 takes in 284 square miles. It includes the city of Stockdale and the rural areas to include Union Valley, Longhorn, Den Hawk, and Kosciuszko, Pandora, Sullivan Springs, and the county lines of Gonzales, Carnes, and Guadalupe. Hit the next slide. I don't have my clicker tonight, so Rusty here is taking care of that. Here's a map that shows our current coverage area. And it's sort of, my bad.
Everybody get that?
Basically, it's just all the areas that I had just mentioned. But it's 284 square miles. That's rather a large, you know, we are a large ESD, okay? But the thing about with District number 3, you know, we have communities, we have one city, but then we have lots of rural land. But we have lots of highway miles that we cover. Our current funding sources: property taxes, county funds. We collect $26,500 a year from the county. Building receivables, state indigent funds, as I mentioned earlier, donations and grants. We have 3 EMS units. Go ahead and just go through them all. We have Medic 2, which is a 2015 Dodge Fraser BLS MICU capability. It's staffed 24/7 and is currently stationed out of the Stockdale station. We have Medic 6, which is a 2006 Ford F350. It's licensed as BLS with MICU capability, and it's staffed 24/7. And it is currently the ambulance that is providing you guys that live here in the Vernia area, providing you service 24/7. It is currently stationed out of District 1, Station Number 1. And then we have Medic 8, which serves as our backup unit, reserve unit, and it is staffed as needed. Personnel-wise, we have an EMS director, me, I'm a paramedic. We have administrative assistant. We have 16 paramedics, 1 advanced EMT, 15 EMT basics, and 2 ECAs. Okay? Numbers. We kept hearing a lot about numbers. So this right now is currently, this is our fiscal year 18 budget for District 3. This is what we are currently operating off of. And property tax wise, we are collecting $353,505. That's what we're budgeted to collect this fiscal year. That's on 10 cents. Billing, we have budgeted to collect $445,000. County monies was $25,000. Other income, which includes school contracts, interest, donations, things like that, $3,600 for a total income of $827,130. Our expenses, everything from capital expenditures all the way to professional expenses, which includes lawyers, CPAs, audits, things like that. Total expenses of $716,926. That leaves an emergency fund, or what goes into savings of $110,204 at the end of the year, into the budgeted year. Now then, sort of threw all that at you, and we'll come back to it here in just a little bit, but wanted to talk to you now about some more statute in reference to creating ESD or annexing. Chapter 775.011, petition for creation of a district located wholly in one county. Okay? I'm not going to read all of this to you. I'm going to go to, I think it's 3 slides down, and I've sort of condensed it all into one slide and into layman terms. Go ahead, right there. To create a new ESD, I just want to cover all of our bases tonight, okay? Answer everybody's questions, and then at the end we'll take questions. But to create a new ESD, first it takes a petition. 100 signatures that are registered voters / property owners. You file that petition with the county judge. A hearing is called, and if the petition is approved, an election is ordered. Okay? And the earliest an election for an ESD4 would be November. An expansion of the territory requires 50 signatures that are registered voters / property owners. That petition gets presented to the ESD commissioners, who in turn call a hearing, which is what we're having on February 15th. Okay? These town hall meetings we're having tonight, like we had last week, we're sort of prepping them for the meeting that we're having next week, to where they would have their vote, essentially. All right? And then after that hearing, they have that vote to either order an election or bow out. This is the area, which is known as the former Vernia EMS area. It's 65 square miles. And that right now is what we have been petitioned to annex. That is currently the area that we are currently providing you coverage for here in the Vernia area. Next. Positives that come with an annexation. District 3 has the highest level of emergency medical services in the county. For example, 24/7 paramedic care, wheels rolled within 2 minutes of a call, has the only ACLS unit in the area, is already capitalized as it owns 3 fully equipped ambulances, will vacate 2 to 3 seats on the ESD board for representatives from the Vernia area, as instructed by the Wilson County Commissioners Court. For those of you who don't know, we've had several of our board members that have said, hey, voluntarily, I'll step down. When that time comes, I will step down and pass the baton to whoever in the Vernia area wants to sit on the board. The annexation will allow the ESD to lower its tax rate, which means it will have a lower tax rate than a new district that is not capitalized. Thus, it will be the lowest cost provider. When you start talking to ESD4, ESD4 don't have any equipment, ESD4 don't have any personnel. So obviously it's gonna have a lot of cash that it's gonna have to front to capitalize. Go out and buy ambulances, hire personnel, buy all the equipment that goes in those ambulances, all the supplies. So you're gonna have, there's gonna be a much larger startup cost that's gonna be associated there. The ESD3, the wheel's already there, it's already turning. ESD4, you sort of reinventing the wheel. The plan that we have, in place will place one ambulance in the annex area upon voter approval, and the second ambulance in the area after receiving first year's tax revenue. This represents a big investment in the area which displays Vernia money will stay in Vernia. What that means is, the current plan that we have is essentially, if we move forward and the election is ordered, let's keep that in mind, and this annexation was successful, once the area was on the tax roll and tax monies were starting to be collected, 3 ambulances would be staffed to provide coverage for the entire district. We're not talking Livonia, Stockdale, Livonia, Pandora, we're talking the entire district, 300 and, I forget now how many miles it was, but over 350 some odd square miles. 3 ambulances that are staffed 24/7, 365 would be available to the district. As far as positioning of those apparatus, we're still working all those details out. But preliminarily, you know, our thoughts of staffing one where it's at now, one over at sub 75, 34, 32 area, and then one in Stockton. Having 2 to 3 man units means you will have the only man backup unit in the county. Others have to call for help. Thus you are more self-sufficient. So, for example, the ambulance here in Livonia at Station 1 goes out on call, all right, for a motor vehicle accident, you know, here on 87 somewhere, and they need another ambulance. Well, they have access to 2 more ambulances that are already staffed, already ready to roll. We're not waiting, you know, 20 minutes or 30 minutes for you know, an ambulance to get there. And I'm not knocking volunteers. I used to be a volunteer myself. But most of the time, volunteers respond from the house. And if you live 5 or 10 minutes from the house, well, that's 5 or 10 minutes to get to the station, and then 10, 15, 20, however many minutes to drive to the scene. So it's much of a delay. When we start talking staff units, that means personnel at the station, ready to roll, time the tones go off. It doesn't matter if just jumping in the ambulance. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, we set a goal of 2 minutes out the door. I mean, right now, we average, at District 3, we average an 8 minutes, 56 seconds response time. And the response time is from the time the call is received to the time the ambulance arrives on scene. All right? You may go to the next slide. Positives that come with an annexation, some more, no redundancy with multiple taxing districts. You know, we're not going to have 2, 3, 4 attorneys, 2, 3, 4 audits, 2, 3, 4, you know, CPAs. You know, we're only going to have, in this case, if we did move forward and we're successful in annexing, is 3 ESDs, 3, you know, only 3 versus the 4. A larger geographical area equals a larger tax base, yes. With that comes a probability of a lower tax rate. And we're going to talk a little more about that here in just a second. Standardized medical services. You know, that was a very hot and heavy topic that was discussed last year whenever the hospital thing came along, about having standardized, you know, medical care across the county. Well, at least if we did move forward with annexation and we were successful with it, you would have standardized medical care, at least on this side of the county. Community outreach programs. Currently with District 3, of course there may be other services in the county, I don't know, but currently with District 3, that's what we're talking about tonight. You know, we provide CPR classes for the community, we provide car seat drives for the community. You know, we have car seat technicians that are employed with us, where those that are less fortunate, those that just simply need a car seat, they have a new child, they can drive through our station, drive up to our station, schedule an appointment unless we're having to drive, but your kid actually gets fitted, measured, all that, and we actually give you a car seat. It's a state-funded program. No waiting for service to begin or paying for capitalization, meaning annexation goes for vote in May, and it is successful, there is no interruption of service. It just continues just like it is now. I mean, as you know now, the contract with District 3 between the county and the city ends September 30th at midnight.
Chief, can I amplify on something real quick on this? My name's Ken Campbell. I'm the attorney for ESD1 and ESD3. And I just want to point out that if ESD4 is the solution, they will not be created until November of 2018 at the end of the year. They will not be able to set their tax rate until September of 2019, and will not see any tax revenue until 2020 to pay for services. And I think that's something that you need to understand with the capitalization costs. We will not collect taxes until it goes on our rolls on January 1st if the voters approve the annexation until January 1st, 2019. So we'll be sort of in the same spot, but at least we have the funds to cover it in the interim.
Yeah, cheaper alternative for taxpayers versus a new startup, also avoids approximately $40,000 in startup costs associated with forming just the board. Between insurance, between all the things that comes along with just forming that board, you have an expense associated with just that. That aside of the capitalization for forming a new service. And then with District 3, there's very little debt. Next slide. Well, that is the next slide. There's very little debt. We'll read you this statement here. Our attorney typed up for us here. Due to the unanticipated deficits and collections of EMS transport fees, the district got behind on its IRS payroll taxes. This matter is being resolved, but the only issues being the actual amount owed by the district, as there is a discrepancy between the district's records and the IRS records, and the actual amounts of any penalties and interest that may be due, if any.
Well, how much is that?
We estimate now, at this point, the IRS is telling us it's 128, but they're not counting the money they've levied or we've already paid, and we're all paid up except for 2006, early 2017. So it's about somewhere between $48,000 and $54,000, and there's about a little less than $8,000 in penalties and interest that I believe we would be able to get waived. Really, it's a matter. We've sent them all the documents to the IRS and all of our bank accounts and all of our stubs and all the levy notices and everything, because the IRS, I know this is amazing, but they still use faxes. They don't even have email, and so they're way behind on where they are. So that's been the only issue, is let's give us a number and we'll get it paid.
By when?
As soon as they give us a number, really.
They haven't told you anything?
No, I've been talking with Revenue Officer Smith
Okay.
for quite a while, and they're still doing it. Now, we've sent them all our documents. As of last week, they had all of our stuff, so now they should be able to check.
They sure got my stuff, by the way. I'll tell you that. But
Well, we just wanted to throw that out there because I know that there has been some questions that have been brought forth about it. So we're just clearing the air. There's nothing to hide here, okay? And one little side note to add to that is we have the monies ear tagged and set aside to take care of this. Just as soon as we hear the word that says how much that amount is, that's all we're waiting for.
What year tax is that?
2017, first and second quarter.
First and
Taxes.
second.
15 and 16 are all up, and the last part of 17 is up, and all our returns.
So it's just,
yeah, go ahead.
so it's just this current year that we're just not paying taxes?
What was the reason why it was not computed, the tax wasn't computed on it?
By the IRS, or?
Well, why,
Why
an organization?
Well, and I'll let David probably answer more of that, but my understanding, without going to attorney-client privilege, is that we have historically, even when it was Stockdale EMS, collections are always the problem, right? I mean, on fire, it's a zero-sum game. It's every dollar out the door. EMS, we get collections, and we get them from the government, we get them from insurance companies. Well, that takes a long time to work through that process, and then we were counting on indigent funds last year that came in about 30% of anticipated.
Well, we're supposed to have collected 130, but we received a check for 56.
And the state takes their share, and the government, everybody takes their share, so that was the problem.
Why did that happen? No, that's a good question there.
That's, as soon as you figure that out,
Okay.
we don't know.
You don't know why?
No, TDISH, the Department of State Health Services, and anybody else? They work with the federal government and our billing company
Okay.
to come up with the amount. We estimated based on what our billing company said to budget for that, and then for whatever reason, somewhere, somebody's math at the government level didn't come out the same as ours.
It actually was new for us, that program, filing for it. I mean, it took us a good year and a half or a little longer to actually finally get approved for it. And so then when we finally did get approval to submit for it, we were only able to submit for 7 months. But our billing office told us 130,000 is what, is a good conservative number to budget for, and so that's what we budgeted for. And so when we started going through the whole process, submitting those reports, all of that, and it got closer to the approval dates, if you may, initially, yeah, you're approved for that. And then it came back to, now it's gonna be, 80,000. And then when we got our check, I think our approval amount was 84,000, but our check total was 56,000. Because they keep 31%. So that's one deficit. The other deficit is something that we're gonna talk about here in just a second, okay? Some other things. I mean, EMS is a very unknown, if you may, as far as on the billing side, as far as what you're gonna collect. But as far as with that aside, because as I say, there's money here tagged for that, that's gonna be taken care of. It's gonna be taken care of as soon as we get that figured out. That could be tomorrow, could be next week, ASAP. But as far as any debt that the District 3 has, at the time of election, okay, so May 5th, if this was to go to vote, and it passed, the annexation was successful, the only debt at that time would be $67,170. And that money is for an ambulance. That's the only debt District 3 has. Now then, we'll throw my little disclaimer out there. Everybody wanted to see numbers, well, we put together some numbers. Now then, I want you to keep in mind, we have yet annexed this area, okay? We have yet to do anything with that. So the only numbers I have is the numbers that we know, which is 2 months worth of data from providing service over here in the Vernia area. As far as any property values, those numbers are old from 2016, okay? So I don't know if they've gone up, they've gone down. I don't know anything about, what they've done. So I'm working off of old data, okay? So these next few slides are preliminary numbers. These are not official numbers, okay? And data used to provide these preliminary plan, 2016 certified tax roll, December and January call stats, and then our current fiscal year 18, and then last year's fiscal year budgets. So, year one, this is a budget, preliminary budgets. Year one, with annexation, but not on the tax rolls, meaning just like it is right now, okay? Operating with 1 ambulance here in Vernia at Station 1, and 1 ambulance out of Stockdale. The budget, $974,250 for income, and expenses would be I didn't total that out. Sure didn't. Between revenue and expenses there, we would come out with a contingency of around $3,500. So we cut it kind of short, but kind of tight. But year two, and both of these years is with our current tax rate. But with annexation in the first year on the tax roll, revenues of would be $1.8 million. And that includes property taxes, that includes billing, that includes indigent money, that includes county money. I mean, it includes everything as far as when you see revenues up there. Expenses, capital expenses, $51,000. Personnel, $955,000. General expenses, $152,000. Professional, $124,000, leaving a contingency of $542,203. Now remember, year one, we're not collecting any tax revenue to this area. So basically, any contingency or funds that we may have, District 3 is having to front that cost of that ambulance being over here. So we're having to rebuild our contingency. Go back. Year 3, tax rate drops to 0.7 cents per $100 evaluation, with a revenue of $1.5 million, personnel expenses of $1 million, General expenses of $152,000, professional services of $124,000 with a contingency of $214,000. That's year 3. So year 1, not on tax roll. Year 2, you're on the tax roll, and then year 3, you're seeing that drop in the tax rate. If annexation is successful, the preliminary plan, as we sort of kind of already discussed, year 1, 1 full-time unit based out of Vernia, 1 full-time unit based out of Stockdale, and you'll have 1 backup unit. Year